Let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to put together a totally fluff-free, practical guide to solving one of the most notorious, everyday headaches for homeowners in our area, and that is San Diego's drinking water. Honestly, if you live here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The water that comes out of the tap, well, it isn't always the most pleasant thing to drink, right? So today, we're going to break down exactly why that is, and more importantly, how a reverse osmosis system can completely fix it.
So have you ever wondered why San Diego's tap water tastes, kind of flat? Or why you constantly get those stubborn, cloudy spots on your dishwasher glassware? Or maybe you've noticed that your soap just won't seem to lather up properly when you're washing your hands? Look, it's not your plumbing. The reality is, most of San Diego County's water arrives by way of the Colorado River. And on that incredibly long journey, it picks up a massive, heavy load of dissolved minerals. That mineral load is the exact culprit, leaving a film on your glasses and making your tap water taste like something you'd really rather just avoid.
Okay, the absolute crucial number to understand here is 16. According to the City of San Diego's own water quality data, our average water hardness clocks in at about 16 grains per gallon. Now, to put that into perspective, that translates to roughly 276 parts per million. That is high, folks, like really high. It's high enough that essentially every homeowner in the county feels the impact of it. This isn't just some minor quirky thing about our local water supply. It's a heavy, perfectly measurable concentration of minerals flowing directly into your house every single day.
And that brings us to the absolute biggest point of confusion for homeowners who are just trying to fix this problem. We see it all the time. People buy one system when they actually meant to buy the other. So let's clear it up. A whole house water softener works by using a process called ion exchange to trade calcium and magnesium for sodium. Its whole job is to protect your pipes, your water heater, and your major appliances from scale buildup. But here's the catch. Softened water still has dissolved sodium in it, and it really doesn't do much at all for the taste. On the flip side, a reverse osmosis, or RO system, treats just one single faucet, usually the kitchen sink, to thoroughly purify the water you actually drink and cook with. They are two totally different tools for totally different jobs.
Because these systems are doing completely separate jobs, neither one replaces the need for the other. So if you have a plumber out sizing a water softener for your home, they shouldn't be telling you that it makes an RO system unnecessary. Actually, scratch that. Homes with genuinely hard water, especially out in North County or East County, often end up running both systems. They'll have a softener sized for the whole house to protect the plumbing infrastructure, plus an undersink RO unit dedicated entirely to giving them clean, great-tasting water at the kitchen tap.
So, how exactly does RO purify that drinking water? Well, the heart of the whole setup is the reverse osmosis membrane. Think of it as a semi-permeable barrier, acting almost like a microscopic bouncer. The pores are so incredibly tiny that they block nearly everything except actual water molecules. Instead of just swapping minerals around like a softener does, the RO membrane outright removes dissolved solids. We're talking calcium, magnesium, sodium, the whole shebang, and flushes them directly down the drain. This is exactly why RO systems produce some wastewater. It's physically pushing those contaminants away rather than just trapping them in a filter.
But, an RO system isn't just one single magic filter. It's more of a systematic sequence, an obstacle course designed to thoroughly purify the water. The water chronologically walks through 4 specific stages. It starts with a sediment filter, moves on to a carbon block, hits that main RO membrane we just talked about, and finally goes into storage and through a polishing filter before it ever hits your glass. Every single stage in this lineup has a very specific, vital job to do.
Let's break those jobs down real quick. The sediment filter is your frontline defense. It catches the physical dirt, rust flakes, and sand, protecting those finer filters downstream. Next up, the carbon block pulls out the chlorine used for municipal disinfection and whatever else is giving the tap water its chemical aftertaste. After the main membrane does the heavy lifting, the purified water just hangs out in a small storage tank. Finally, when you turn on the tap, the water runs through a polishing filter to catch any lingering odors or tastes. This comprehensive process removes a much wider range of contaminants than your standard carbon filter pitcher ever could, which is exactly why the end result tastes just like premium bottled water.
Now, getting this set up under your kitchen counter is actual plumbing work, even if the unit itself looks pretty compact. The practical execution involves a few key steps. The professionals at Plumbing Pro San Diego will tie a feed line directly into your existing cold water supply, drill a clean hole right through your counter or sink deck for the new dedicated faucet, mount the filter housings and the storage tank securely inside your cabinet, and then run a small drain line to carry away that rejected water we discussed earlier. It's usually a same-visit job, but it absolutely requires precision.
And here's a really crucial heads up for homeowners, especially if you live in one of the older classic neighborhoods around here. Beware of older San Diego homes with galvanized supply lines or those really tight, limited spaces under the sink.
In situations like that, the plumber might need to adapt the connection points or slightly reroute the lines to make the unit fit properly. Every single one of these connections needs to be completely watertight and code compliant. Trust me, a slow dripping tie-in hidden under a sink cabinet can run for weeks unnoticed, soaking into the floor of the cabinet and causing massive, expensive damage.
Okay, let's talk about the upfront cost, because there is absolutely no single generic price tag for this. The cost of your system is going to be dictated by three main factors. First, the number of filter stages in the unit you choose. Second, whether you decide to add a remineralization cartridge. And third, the complexity of the under-sink layout labor for your specific kitchen. Because of these variables, you should always insist on getting a firm, itemized quote that clearly separates the cost of the unit itself from the installation labor before you commit to a single thing.
Once it's actually installed, your ongoing cost is pretty much entirely about replacing the filters. And here is where San Diego's local water profile really matters. Our heavy mineral load means sediment filters clog significantly faster than they would in a lower mineral market. You cannot, and I mean cannot, just rely on the generic 6-month replacement clock printed on the manufacturer's box. You must ask your installer for a custom check-in schedule tailored specifically to your home's water usage. If you let a saturated pre-filter sit in there too long, it will severely shorten the working life of your expensive RO membrane.
Yeah, this brings up a common health objection we hear all the time. People ask, since the membrane blocks everything, doesn't reverse osmosis strip out the minerals you'd actually want to keep? Like, does it remove the good calcium right along with the bad? Well, because the membrane doesn't distinguish between the calcium that scales up your pipes and the calcium your body uses, the short answer is yes. It removes essentially all dissolved minerals. But is that actually a bad thing?
Honestly, for most households, this is not a meaningful health trade-off at all. Why? Because your drinking water is just a minor source of dietary minerals compared to the actual food you eat every day. Your meals provide the vast majority of what your body needs. However, if you're still a bit concerned about it, or honestly if you just prefer that crisp flavor of mineral water, many RO units offer a remineralization cartridge as an optional final stage. This specifically adds a slight healthy mineral taste back into the water right before it hits your glass. But again, that's mostly for taste rather than nutrition.
So if your water tastes off or your glassware never comes out looking clear, you really need someone who knows exactly how to handle our local water conditions. Plumbing Pro San Diego connects homeowners everywhere, from La Jolla all the way to our inland communities, with licensed, insured plumbers. Whether you just need a whole house softener to protect your pipes or a high-end RO system sized perfectly for your kitchen, they can handle the whole thing with safe, code-compliant tie-ins. You can reach them 24/7 at 858-400-4417 to get a totally honest quote before any work even starts.
Ultimately, you have options here. You don't have to settle for flat-tasting tap water, and you definitely don't have to keep hauling heavy cases of water from the grocery store every single week. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Are you ready to finally take back control of your kitchen tap and ditch the bottled water for good? Thanks so much for joining me for today's explainer, and I hope this gives you a much clearer path to better water in your home.